Can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing as good as I can.
I always like to start with asking authors to tell me a little bit about themselves, what they write, and how you got into the indie author world.
Oh, Lord. How much time do we have? I'm just kidding. So, my name is Courtney. I write under the pen names Lyra Parish, and I am half of the USA Today bestselling duo Kennedy Fox. I self published my first romance book in 2014. And in 2016, I started writing with Brooke Cumberland under the pen name Kennedy Fox. And since then, I think we're at book count 41. By the end of this year, it will be 44 or 45. I worked a full time corporate job for a decade of my writing journey. And in March of 2020, we had become so financially successful that I could quit my job and be okay with the money that writing brought in. A lot of people are like, oh, does her husband make $1 billion and that's why she can quit her job or whatever? And that's not the case with me. My husband is also an artist. He is deep sky dude everywhere on the internet. And basically, the books pay the bills. And so I'm very fortunate and very, I would say lucky, but it was a lot of hard work to get to the point that I'm at. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I first started writing young adult fantasy books and was struggling with a series that I had gotten picked up by a small press. And I talked to one of my friends who was doing really well in romance, and she was like, why are you writing young adult books? And I was like, no one's ever questioned me on that. I don't know because I guess at that point in my life, I was reading a lot of YA. So I was like, I'm going to write YA. And she was like, but all of your books have like romance in it. Why aren't you just writing romance? And it was like a light bulb moment for me. And I was like, I should write romance. And I finished my first book in about 6 weeks. And the rest is history. I've been writing romance ever since. So
You ever want to write in other genres? Is that something you have an interest in?
I really like thrillers and I like contemporary fiction too, something that I stumbled upon in 2019. And I've considered writing for traditional publishing, but until my messy life is cleaned up, I don't think I can really handle anything else. But yeah, eventually I would like to dabble in other genres, but not other genres self-publishing. It would be more of a trad pub route for me.
That's cool. I have the opposite experience where I started writing romance and ended up switching to magic. So,
That's so funny. I'm
yeah,
always like I'm always like people get stuck in their work and I'll talk to people who have just I haven't finished a book in 2.5 years. They'll be like, I started the story and I can't write it. And my comment is, have you tried writing in a different genre? Because maybe it's not you that's broken. Maybe you're trying to force yourself, you're a square and you're trying to force yourself into a circle because that's what you think you should be doing. And really, maybe it's just a genre issue. It's not a you issue.
yeah, I see that a lot. I think people are scared to try something different. I do editing as well. I had a client recently who said nobody told her that she was allowed to write fluff. Like, she was trying to write these, like, very serious.
Eloquent.
Yeah, and she was like, "Nobody told me I could just write what I like to read." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's great." She was like, "And when I
Yeah.
did, the word just started flowing." So, that's pretty exciting to see. But
Yeah. Yeah. It
yeah,
happens a lot. I noticed that it happens with newer authors because there's an expectation that's set from other authors that they watch or that they follow or that they read. And they try to not really mock that or try to be that, but they think that's what needs to happen. When really it's art, it's being creative, it's doing what you want to do. So if you want to write all the fluff and the smut and the, you know, it's a dark and stormy night. That's telling. Come on. That's a famous sentence at the very first of a book. Yeah.
I think it's also interesting again, we're on a tangent. I think it's always interesting when people don't realize that they're allowed to make money, right? Like,
Exactly.
it's okay to make money doing this thing.
Exactly. And know your worth. Know your worth. A lot of people will not spend time with their families or be like, hey, kid, your dad's going to go watch your basketball game because I have to write this book. I'm under deadline or whatever the case is. And so you're so into your work that you miss life experiences and you deserve to get paid for all that time that you spent. Like you ignored your family. You deserve to get paid $5 for your I spend that daily on Starbucks.
I have one in the trash can right now that looks just like but empty.
So yeah, know your worth. I see a lot of newer authors also, they'll mark their first book. They'll start at 99 cents for a brand new book. And I'm like, what are you doing? That's so 2013. Like pay charge people for your work. You deserve to earn 70% of your royalties. A book that's $1 that you are only making 30 cents on, that's not ever going to pay your bills. That can't even buy you a Starbucks. Come on.
That probably won't even pay for a cover. At least not
No.
for a while. Yeah.
No, covers are expensive. Editing is expensive. Formatting, even to buy vellum, is expensive. It's not a cheap hobby or job to have. So know your worth. Price your books appropriately for your genre.
So, with all of that wisdom shared, as a segue, and your YouTube channel is a lot of kind of writerly advice and your journey advice. So, what made you want to jump into YouTube? What got you there?
So I have always wanted to have a YouTube channel. I've had several throughout the years. Like when YouTube first started, like I had a YouTube channel in 2008, but that's not even out there anymore. But in college and in high school, I was in theater. And so I did a lot of musical theater and I was on the board of directors for community theater. And I stumbled upon writing and realized that I really liked it. And I had to give one of them up. It was either write or do theater. And theater was, I would get off work at 4 o'clock. We'd have rehearsal from 6 to 10. And that's Monday through Friday until you do production. And then you've got Hell Week and all that. And so it was very time consuming. And so I resigned from the board of directors at my local theater and I just went all in with writing, but I felt like I was missing that creative outlet. And I'm also an extrovert. So for me, it was like, I know the one writer extrovert in the world.
No, I
Like,
am too. People are
okay,
like, they exist. We exist.
we do exist. We are little unicorns. Most people are introverts. But I was like, man, like I have a lot of people messaging me questions and asking me different things because I work full time and I miss the theater and I miss recording and I miss YouTube. So I'm just going to start a channel and talk about my literary journey and talk about self publishing because I have information that could probably help somebody. If I would have found my YouTube channel when I first started, I would probably be in a different place today than I was having to learn all of those mistakes. Because back in 2014, there wasn't anybody like saying, hey, this is self publishing. This is how you do it. These are the ins and outs. Don't make these same mistakes I made. There was nobody really sharing that information. Facebook groups weren't a big deal like they are now. Like you had to literally just read forums and read all this different stuff to try to find out the information or ask people who were already doing it. I was like, that would be awesome to share that info because I know there's somebody that is me that is looking for that. And to have it all in one place would be beneficial for somebody else. And it was really just my way to give back to the community, regardless of what genre you write. Self publishing at its core is the same for every genre, regardless if it's romance or young adult fantasy or whatever. We all write our books one word at a time. We all upload them on Amazon the same exact way and publish them the same exact way. And I just thought it would be something fun and it's been fun. Sometimes it's stressful, but I don't take YouTube as seriously as some of these people who have a lot of subscribers. For me, it's a hobby. It's just a little side thing. And I'm not as consistent as most people because my writing is number one. And I'm super honest about that too with my subscribers. I'm like, hey, if I'm under deadline, do not expect a video from me. I'm not going to stay on schedule. My books are more important. It pays the bills. YouTube's fun. And I will give back as much as I possibly can.
Have you, I'm not sure how you would notice this, but have you noticed any correlation with sales and your YouTube channel? Has it marketed at all for you?
So I don't think author tube channels are good promotion for your books. I think that if you were a booktuber where you like read books and gave your opinions on books and you were more reading focused and then you switched to being an author and talked about your journey, then I think that it would be beneficial because your core audience would be other people who are readers. For AuthorTube, I know that my core audience are other authors and that their goal is to get information about how to self-publish, or some of them like to know about me too, but most of them just want the info and they're not worried about what I'm publishing. They're not going out and reading my books. Most of them are not romance readers. So I've never publicized my channel in a way to boost my books. It's more of a way for me to help other people publish their books.
You mentioned that you have a background in theater. Everyone I ever talk to who has a podcast or a YouTube channels always has a background in theater. I think there's
Seriously?
a correlation. Yeah. Something about it, like just that stage. I think it's just like one more stage that they
Yeah,
audience in a way. So
exactly. Like I turn on my lights in my office just to brighten it up because it's dark in here. And I'm like, yes, we're stepping on stage. Break a leg, Court. You can do this. I'll put myself up. But I believe it. Theater people, not that they need the spotlight. I think they just putting themselves out there. What happens? So
it's like extroverts need conversation and people that
yeah,
encourages them. Theater people need a stage as a recharge. So
yeah, absolutely. And I'm so grateful that we have things like Zoom and YouTube and all the other streaming services because I probably would have gone crazy during COVID, not being able to talk to people or just staying inside my house. I never imagined that I would quit my job and then be quarantined inside of my house for 2 years. I had these huge dreams like I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to travel the world. And it's, hey, you're going to quit your job and then you always wish that you could be home. Guess what? Now you're going to be home. So
yeah.
forever.
Can you, because what I'm finding with the research for this article is most of the authors who are using YouTube are using it as an author tube channel, not any type of marketing correlation. Are there any authors that you can think of that run successful YouTube channels that do use it as a marketing tool?
So, oh, what is her name? There is an author. She's traditionally published, Christina. What is her name? She has probably like millions of subscribers and she was a reviewer, a book reviewer, and then she turned author, got like a $1 million traditional published deal. And she's very successful with her channel and pushing her books out on it. But offhand, I can't really think of any author tubers that push their books and it really works. Maybe is it Katie Tastic? I don't know. I feel like, but she was a booktuber first. I feel if you start off as an author tuber, your audience is going to be other authors. If you start off as a booktuber, you are basically creating an audience that will possibly read the book that you want to write in the future.
Yeah, I see that. And I think it's still an interesting way to put out content. And there's some SEO options and things like that with having it. So definitely interesting. So this article, I don't know how much detail I already explained, but it's basically a 10 tips article for authors wanting to utilize YouTube in any capacity, whether it's AuthorTube or other. Yeah, that's what I'm researching and finding a lot of interesting bits and pieces from people who do use it. I have a YouTube channel, but I never use it. So it's just wasted space for me, but you got to put your focus in where you really enjoy. And I can tell from your videos that you do enjoy it. So that's why I knew that talking to you would be a good choice. But
Thanks.
so I do have legit questions, not just rambling.
Okay. Give them to me. I'm ready.
Okay. So regarding your YouTube channel, is there anything that you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
I think I would have been more consistent with posting videos. It's just like publishing anything. The more consistent you be, the quicker that you will grow. And I was not very consistent. I'm still not very consistent. I am not the YouTuber that you should look at and be like, I want to be just like Courtney. There are people that are like beyond what I do because they are consistent. Also, I make videos that I want to make. I'm not going on YouTube and doing the SEO searches and doing the research that typically goes into place to get a video to rank, to get more views, to get more subscribers. So my thing is if you are serious about it, be consistent and actually do your research on your videos. And I think you will grow at a much quicker rate. And you can see that. You can see there are author tubers that have over 100,000 subscribers. And if you go through their videos, you can see the keywords that they're using. You can see the different videos that they're making to grab those people that are searching high in search for those types of videos. So top 10 tips to self-publish a romance book. The best top 10 tropes to write in romance. I have tons of videos I can make, but that kind of stuff doesn't really it doesn't interest me as much. But yeah, I would say do your research and be consistent.
I think that's why I got to your YouTube channel though, was because you were talking about leaving corporate America, and that related really strongly with me at the time. So I was like, okay, yeah, like how did you guys do it? And I remember you were like very analytical about it, which also appeals to my brain. Like you knew like how much you needed to make and like you had numbers and things. And I was like, okay, I need to listen to this. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it all goes with the plan. There's people who's like, I'm going in tomorrow and I'm quitting my job to write. And I'm like, wait, are you making money with your books? Because you don't want to quit a very stable job that gives you a 401k and insurance to realize that, oh, I'm really not going to make enough money with my books and then have to go get a job waiting tables or bartending or something like that. Because jobs are hard to find these days. You know, good paying jobs are hard to find. I think there's plenty of minimum wage $15 per hour jobs out there. I was making six figures at my corporate job. That's hard to walk away from.
yeah.
That's hard to be like, okay, I know that this is very consistent and I make a lot of money and my insurance is paid for half by my job. I had 401k and a pension. I had all the things that they teach you when you're in college that you want, but I was miserable. I was like going to work going, how am I going to make it through this day without killing somebody? And yeah, quitting my job. That was fine.
This isn't what we're talking about today, but you have no idea how relatable those words are for me personally. I think that resonates with a lot of people. But okay, so we talked about mistakes. Any tips that you have for authors who are considering creating content for YouTube, just in general?
I would say don't take yourself so seriously. I think some people force themselves to do it. And you can tell when someone's, okay, today we're going to make a video and they're just not into it or they have a bad attitude or whatever the case is. Don't force yourself to do it. Like at the beginning, just have fun. If writing is what you want to do, focus on writing and just have little like side hobbies like YouTube. If you want to be a YouTuber, it takes a lot of time and a lot of work and energy. Editing takes forever and your writing will suffer if you want to be a YouTuber. So you have to decide which one it is that you want to do.
So you mentioned the editing piece. Any technical things that people should be aware of when starting a YouTube channel?
As far as technical things, I would say that if you have a MacBook Pro or just a regular MacBook, most laptops come with some sort of like editing program. Usually it's iMovie. I would not go and spend a lot of money on editing software, cameras, whatever. If you want to be a YouTuber, everybody has a cell phone. This little fancy camera that you paid thousands of dollars for, that's good enough. And then if you decide that you love it and YouTube is something that you want to pursue, then invest money into it. But at the beginning, don't get so caught up in all the technical aspects of, oh, I need to learn Final Cut Pro. I need to go buy a Canon Rebel 7 Ti camera. I need to go get some lenses. I need to get a microphone. Like natural lighting works. Use your phone and look up some YouTube videos on how to use iMovie. Like you don't have to invest a lot into it. Mostly your time.
For sure. Just like with becoming an author, right? There's more of a learning curve than a financial curve at the beginning.
Exactly. Like all you need is a laptop or an iPad and a Word document to write a book. And until you have that first draft, like you don't need anything else. Like you need your first draft first.
Yeah. And finishing something like a first draft is empowering. It tells
Oh my God.
you it. Yeah.
I did NaNoWriMo in 2012. I decided in 2011 I wanted to be an author. So I'm going on my 10-year author anniversary. But just randomly, me and my husband were hiking and I was like, I think I want to write a book. And that's how I live my life. I'm like, I think I want to do this. And then I go and do it. And he was like, but you're not a writer. And I was like, I know. That's going to be the fun part though. Like, going to write a book. But NaNoWriMo in 2012, it was the first and only time I ever finished it. And at the end, they had this screen and it was like, balloons or confetti or something. And it was like, congratulations, you did it. Like you crossed the finish line. I cried. I was like, I wrote 50,000 words to finish my first book. I just sat there and sobbed. I had like chills. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. It's a rewarding process to finish something that you work so hard on. That should be celebrated for sure.
And now how long does it take you to write 50,000 words?
If I was pushing, I could probably do it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but isn't that funny what a huge accomplishment that was in year 1? Because it is. I have never finished Nano truly. Like, starting to finish, I've never actually finished because 'cause I'm always working on lots of different things. So, I always get 50,000 words, but they're, like, 8 different projects or something. But it's so funny how that's such a huge milestone that you reach, and then it just becomes, like, normal.
Exactly. But I had struggled for an entire year to the same book, like an entire year. I would get to, I guess the 20,000 word mark is like my kryptonite. When I was a new author, I would get to 20,000 words and I would just give up. And so I have a bunch of different drafts that get up to around 20,000 words. And then I would be like, okay, I'm starting over. So to move past that point that just held me back so hard, it was like a mental break. Like I broke through that struggle. And then at that point, I knew that I could start something and finish it because before then, I didn't think that I could. I was like, I can start projects, but I will never finish them. So finishing it gave me the motivation and like the personal encouragement that, oh, I can start and finish a project. I actually can be a writer. And so I have Nano to thank for that because if I wouldn't have finished, I would have been like, I can never do this. I can't. There's no way.
I wonder how many stories like that are. Like, we have Nano to thank for something because I've heard that before. You're not the only one. So that's interesting. That's a huge community too. I think we have articles on that coming out. No, I'm not writing them, but now I'm interested. Okay, so what do you see as maybe emerging trends or content that you think will become successful on YouTube? Is there anything that you think is going to be part of the future?
Part of the future on YouTube. I
Or
don't
maybe
know,
what
but
do you want to see more of? If there's something you want.
so I personally like watching people's publishing journeys because no matter where I am in my career, I can find something relatable with a newer author who is struggling to finish plotting this book or to finish writing this chapter or to market this book. And so that's the stuff I personally like. I don't really, this is going to sound terrible, but I don't really care for like how to write videos, like people guiding me through writing because I feel like the information is out there and it's been said so much. And I've already written so many books that I don't feel like for me that it's helpful, although it's helpful for other people.
Like
So
the
I think what
the craft.
yeah, like craft and stuff. And I don't share craft videos because that's something that I'm always working on. Like I'm always reading craft books, but I feel like some of the people who are sharing these craft videos on YouTube don't really have the experience to be sharing that stuff. They're just reading a book and going through the points that someone else had shared. But anyway,
But really bringing anything new to the table.
exactly. If there are some YouTube channels that do a lot of craft videos that I find helpful, but it's not something that I personally search out.
I get that. One of my favorite YouTube, I don't know if it's a channel, but I like his videos, is there's a guy that does Scrivener tips and always has like new tricks in Scrivener. I'm like, yes, new video. Like,
You have to send me
I heard something. Yeah.
you have to send it to me because I am Scrivener dumb. I use it to write, but everybody's show me your setup, and I'm like, I literally press blank document and add chapters. That's all I do.
That's how I was for years though with Scrivener. That's literally, and I loved it still, even just using it that way. I was like, I love this program. But then
Yeah.
I saw like a video or something and it was like, did you know it does this? And I was like, that's what those buttons are. And now I'm like, it does so much. And I still don't use most of it, but just knowing that it's there and that if that appealed to my particular brain, like learning style, I would be way into it. Oh, it was like a complete light bulb moment. I'm like, "Oh my god, I know there's 1,000 buttons, but I never knew what they did."
Oh, I know. It's such a powerful program. But yeah, I'm pretty done with it. It's very basic.
I was forever. I'll send you a link. It's
Yes, awesome.
definitely interesting. Okay, so not speaking of other people's future on YouTube, what do you have planned for your YouTube channel in the future?
Oh, I I have no idea. I have a list of videos that I want to do, and I want to continue to update people on where I am, like after quitting my job, because that's important. You hear about people quitting their jobs, and then you don't really get any more updates. It's, oh, they quit their job. Like, how's it going with that? So I want to talk more about that because I know people can relate to it. And I love to search content out like that when I was working full time. Um, and I want to try different things. I want to try like vlogging the process from beginning to end of me writing an entire book because that's not something that I've done yet. And I talk about how long it takes me to write books and how long it takes me to edit them, but to vlog it from beginning to end and make it one long video, I think would be a fun process to watch. But other than that, I would just like to be consistent and post at least a video per week, like at the very basic level.
That sounds good on paper, but what fun is consistency?
Exactly. As soon as I'm in deadline, I'm going to be like, F YouTube. I don't care about that. This is more important. I've got 40 chapters to edit right now.
That's funny. So, do you have any resources for authors on YouTube that you would recommend? Like something that helped you get started or that might help someone else?
I watch several different YouTubers that are not really like in the author tube world, but like Amy Landino, she had a course called Blog Like a Boss. There's a book as well. And I love her channel because she gives you info, but she also keeps it fun and keeps the scene changing. It's not like a talking head like my videos. I find that very interesting. There's also a YouTuber called Catherine Nanning, and she talks about SEO and like how to rank your videos and do the research to actually find videos that will get the views that YouTube will push out where you can get more subscribers. And I've found her very helpful because she breaks it down. Oh, this is how I make a thumbnail for my video. This is how I do keyword research to come up with my video titles when I want to make this video, but I also want to get these types of views. And she went from just doing regular content to essentially having a six-figure business on YouTube, teaching people how to make their videos more successful. And then there is another girl named Annie. I do not remember her last name, but she makes the same types of videos that Catherine makes. So yeah, I find those creators very helpful. And yeah, they've helped me a lot with the way that I look at how I'm like recording my videos and editing them and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think that's a big learning curve. The editing is what scares me. I'm like, I'm gonna mess that up.
You can make mistakes and you can have a poorly edited video and then you learn something from it and then you move on. If you go look at my beginning videos, they're just so cringe. Like I should do a rewatch of my videos and stop and be like, do I still agree with this in 2021? Like a reaction to my own videos.
A blind react of your own videos.
Yeah, I don't watch the old ones and people will comment on stuff that's 3 years old and they're like, but what did you mean by this? And I'm like, I have no idea what you watched. Like, and I'm not going to rewatch it. I can't.
And I probably don't mean the same thing today. So
Exactly. It might have changed. I have no idea what you're asking me.
okay, so I think I won't keep you too much longer. We've been talking for a little bit, but the last few questions I have are just about writing and not necessarily YouTube specific since this is a video. So what future plans do you have for Kennedy Fox or Lyra Parish for writing or others? Maybe you have another pen name.
I don't. Those two are just plenty for me. Kennedy Fox, we have 3 more books set to release this year. I am speaking at a conference,
Oh, which
romance author mastermind. I'll be doing that in December. And next year we are planning to release 5 or 6 books, doing some anthologies. We essentially have our schedule for the next 3 years and consistent with our releases. As far as Lyra Parish, I want to write a traditionally published book, but I haven't really decided exactly what I want to do. And I want to get it published under that pen name. And so I want to transition Lyra Parish into a traditionally published pen name and then just really continue focusing and being consistent with Kennedy.
Do you have any career-wise, do you have any things that you would want to do over? Any mistakes that you have absolutely made as an author that you just cringe about now, but that you've learned from?
Oh man, I have a whole video about this. So, in the beginning of my writing journey, I was very consistent with releases because I was ahead in writing books. And so this was before having fast releases were like an actual thing. And so I released my first book it was a trilogy. I released my first January. I released the second book in March, and I told myself, "Oh, I'll totally be able to make that third book be complete by May." I got and I experienced burnout. That's essentially what happened. I pushed so hard in the very beginning. After 2 books, I experienced burnout. So I decided that I was going to do a spin-off book of the trilogy that I had not finished in the middle of it. And it was a bad idea because it was dark romance and I wasn't a dark romance author. And so I just genre hopped. Like, sure, it was still romance, but there are specific readers that read dark romance compared to contemporary romance with suspenseful elements. And so I wish that I would have just finished the trilogy and had one series complete before moving on to something else. Um, and I call that my squirrel moment where I was like, the other thing that I think that really affected me in the beginning was just having imposter syndrome. Am I really a writer though? Sure, I can finish books, but just because you can write a book doesn't mean that you're good at it.
Real. I don't know what real means.
Exactly. And so I suffered with that and just the comparison game, which affects everybody at every single level. You go, why are my friends succeeding and why am I being left behind? And so those are 3 things that I wish I would have just stayed in my lane and not worried about anybody else, which I'm pretty good at, but still it affected like my confidence that I had. And don't genre hop until you're established. What are you doing? That's so stupid. It was so dumb. That was one of the biggest mistakes I think that I made in the very beginning.
I think new authors, the one thing they are consistently really good at, and I still consider myself in that group, is making things harder on themselves. You
Yeah,
know? Like
exactly. You're your own worst enemy. Nobody is saying these terrible things about you online, about your writing, but then you get in your head that you just suck and you can't do it. And then you ended up like being your own worst enemy. Also, I would get caught up in like I guess I'm a glutton for punishment and I would never read the good reviews. I would just read the 1-star reviews. And that really got to me. And so now today I know I can't read 1-star reviews because I take it personal. So I don't read them at all. I don't read any reviews. If the book has a bunch of ratings, I'll be like, "Oh, this book's ranked at like 4.8 stars on Amazon. That's good. That's all I need. I'm good with that." And Brooke knows that's one of my things. Like I will not read reviews. I appreciate everyone who leaves the reviews, but I know that they're not for me as the author. They're for other readers to let them know what they thought. And everyone's entitled to their opinion, good or bad. Please feel free to say if my books suck or whatever. Like I'm okay with it, but I'm not going to personally subject myself to reading that.
does Brooke read them though?
Oh, she does, and she'll send me screenshots of the good ones.
I'm always impressed when authors take bad reviews and turn them into ad copy. I'm like, yes, those are my
Oh yeah, like
favorite.
this book had too much smut.
I know.
Perfect.
Yeah, because the thing that one person hated might be exactly someone else's cup of tea.
Exactly.
Too
Yeah.
much, but I'm in. Bye. Okay. So my last question is consistent, or I try to be. Is there any final wisdom that you would impart to new authors or seasoned authors just based on your own experiences?
I would say to just keep going. You're gonna have bad releases. You're gonna make stupid mistakes. You're gonna think that, that this is the end of my career. Like we always are a little bit more dramatic than we need to be, but just keep going. Like mistakes are gonna happen and learn something from those. I think Neil Gaiman said in his master class that he learned more from the books that didn't sell than from the books that did. And to me, that just resonated with me because I'm like, yes, like I learned so much from those books that are like, they're not winners, but they're great for backlist and people still love them. Those are the books where you're like, this is what I should have done different. And you take those nuggets of information and you bring it with you forward to your next releases. And that's what makes you grow. At the moment that you're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Like, I can't do this. That's the moment that you fail. That's the moment that you don't go forward. And there's not an end game to writing. There is no finish line. There's many ones for each book that you do, but there's no grand scheme where you're like, okay, I'm done now. Like, I'm done writing. I, you can make all the,
I've won.
yeah, you can make all the bucket list items that you want to, and I'm guilty of it too. But once you mark them off, then what do? Are you done writing? No, you just keep going, and you have to keep going. I would not be where I am today if I would have just quit. I would still be working corporate, hating my life every day, 100%. But I kept going, and I really, truly believed that I would one day quit my job, like with every part of my body. And people would laugh at me at work. They would be like, "You've been saying that for years," and I'm like, "No, like I'm seriously going to quit my job to write books. This is 100%. I believe this, and y'all can laugh at me, but it's gonna happen." And so in 2019, when I announced to YouTube that I was gonna quit my job in 2020, I told people at work. They were planning for the next October. We had this chili cookout at work. We did. And I said, I won't be here. So don't sign me up. And they're like, you say that every year. And I'm like, no, I literally will not be here. I will not. I will be quitting my job next year. And they laughed at me and they thought I was joking. And that's motivation to keep going. Like, truly believe in yourself. I know it's hard sometimes. It's really hard, but like, truly believe in yourself. And if you want it, I'm not a special unicorn. I'm nothing special. If you want this life, you can have it too. You're just going to have to work for it, and you can't quit. You can't give up.
I love that you use Neil Gaiman's quote too. He's one of my favorite authors. So
That master class is
it's
amazing.
good. Yeah, it is.
It's
really
very good.
So have you ever heard of Clubhouse?
Yeah. I have Clubhouse.
I jumped into a Clubhouse room once, or like one of the first times I was ever on it months and months ago, and accidentally jumped into Neil Gaiman speaking in a room, like, and had no idea, and actually like able to talk and listen to this human in real time.
What?
Completely mind blowing thing. So yeah, that speaking of new and emerging things, Clubhouse is cool.
Yeah, Clubhouse is cool. I haven't figured it out because I haven't given much time to it, but I've jumped in some traditional publishing rooms just because I like to stay informed in what's going on. I know that I'm a self-published author, guys, but I like to know what's going on, like on both sides, like industry wide. And I've jumped in some of those, and agents, other self-published authors, like chatting about different things. And I don't know how to start a room. I don't know how to do anything on there, but just listen to people.
Yeah, that's where I was when I accidentally found the Neil Gaiman thing. So I like fell into it, and he was just talking, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. like just like confused and in awe of it. So ever since then, I'm like, okay, I'll stick around with this.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would have been like, oh my God, can you like raise your hand or something? I've been like,
No, I was too scared. I was like, what do I say? Like, this is a moment I can't see something stupid, like, but
exactly.
smart to add absolutely nothing. So it's things like that where your brain just fails you. I can be incredibly eloquent, and then I need to be, and I just have no words. Like, I can't remember that. So
That's hilarious.
that's it. That's all I got. So unless you have anything else you want to share about YouTube or your author stuff, I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening just about now. It's almost 4.
Awesome. I don't have anything else to add. If anybody has any questions or wants to reach out, they can just leave a comment on my YouTube channel. I try to respond back to everybody now that my life is not as hectic as it was. So yeah, I answer questions, and I try to be available when people have a question.
Anyway, so you'll see it in November. And yeah, I just really appreciate you talking with me because I'm very relatable. So,
It's that theater in us, in that
right.
extra.
Yeah. Oh, it's always funny. I am a 20 books person. So anytime I go to those conferences, I'm like the token extra. Go find Bre and help you extrovert. Like, she's chatty.
That's so funny. It's hilarious because Brooke is an introvert, like hardcore, and I'm an extrovert. So if we go to signings or conferences, she's okay, I'm just gonna be with you. And you talk to those people. It doesn't bother me or walk into a room and assume anybody knows who I am. So I'm always introducing myself. And people are like, I know who you are. And I'm like, you know who I am? Like, that's shocking. I never believe it. Wow, that's
Crazy. I used
Um,
to I used to feel that way until I realized people recognize me by the glasses. Like, I always have bright colored glasses on.
uh-huh.
And I was in a big conference, and somebody's, "Just go find Bree, she has the glasses," and I'm like, "I've become that person." Like, I have a brand on my face. Like, nobody knows my books, but you know my glasses.
Hey, you should go and get some sponsorships from Zenny. I love Zenny. You should go and get you an affiliate code for real and start.
That's true. That's
You
funny.
should.
That would be a very fun brand for me too.
Yeah, especially if you like it. I love Zenny. I have way too many glasses too, but the thing is all of my glasses look exactly like this. So people are like, "But you do?" And I'm like, "Yeah, look, I'll change glasses and they all look exactly the same."
So I had that same conference, somebody said something about my glasses, and they're like, "Find Bree, she's always in red glasses." And that day I had on blue glasses, and I was like, "I gotta go change." Like, I really, like, ran up to my room, swapped out for red, and I was like, "Okay, I'll wear red the rest of the conference."
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Okay, I'll let you go for real this time before we get on another
Okay.
but thank you again so much for chatting with me, and have a good rest of your
Great. You're welcome. Thank you
Alright.
so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.